Well, my next guest has helped tell stories of life in Western Washington for more than 4 decades. King 5 photojournalist Dave Wike has covered it all: war, beauty, tragedy, joy. He has watched and captured Seattle's changing landscape from behind the lens, and he joins me now as he prepares to sign off of his 42-year-long career. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So 42 years, is that all at King?
That's what's kind of crazy. I was really lucky, happened to get out of school in 1980 and showed up because I had friends here, and they had 2 people leave. They hired me full-time temporary, and I stuck.
And you stuck 42 years. Yeah. Imagine the job was a lot different back then.
Well, I was a film editor, and so I think 80% of our staff shot film back then in news, which was a completely different process. I mean, literally, when you cut your story, you
were
cut
cutting
your story.
The actual film and placing it together, right?
Yeah, my tools were a bottle of glue and a pair of scissors. And I did editing for 2 years and then started shooting in 1982. And we still were shooting film.
Were you still shooting? I was going to ask.
My first camera, I should have brought it today, was a CP16, and we were still shooting film. And what makes me proud about those days is we won NPPA Station of the Year, the National Press Photographers Association Station of the Year, when we were still shooting film and the rest of the country was
gone to videotape.
And then videotape made all the difference in the world because you didn't have to.
How heavy was a film camera? I'm curious.
You know, it was actually lighter.
Really?
So when I gave up my film camera, it got heavier because the ENG camera, they called it ENG, was probably about 30 pounds, and you had a separate recorder with the tape that was another 20 pounds. So you were like 40 to 50 pounds everywhere you went.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so.
There's some you editing, it looks like at the happiest place on earth, as a matter of fact. Or here, and these were, oh my gosh, this was actually not, in retrospect, that long ago. This was on mini DV you were filming, editing? Eventually,
way back, the only way you could edit was at a full studio facility because the machines were just too large.
Right.
Eventually we got those packs, and it was a love-hate because you could edit in the field, which was awesome, but it was, again, 100 pounds. And there were only, I think, 2.
And you're looking at a tiny screen.
You're looking at a tiny screen, but at least you're, like you saw there, you're editing in the field, and then you would have to put that in a separate truck, which would then beam it back via satellite.
Right.
And then the satellite truck also, you're probably going to go live as well.
Wow. You have gone to so many fascinating places during your career. Tell us about a couple of the highlights.
Probably the bigger ones are some of the international things we did. I was embedded in Iraq with the 555th Combat Engineering Group.
Wow.
During the war, so that was a little scary. Dad with 2 daughters going to war zone.
Oh man.
So that was the hardest part.
And you were with Glenn Farley at that time, and he also had family at home.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a, that was the nervous times, but fascinating, and it was the story of the time. I mean, our area has so many military families that we
needed to be there.
Again, working with Glenn, I went to Russia when when the Soviet Union fell, and Boeing had a lot of technology that they were interested in Russia. And so they sent a delegation over, and Glenn and I covered that for a week. We were in places that no Western journalists had been. It was really fascinating.
My goodness.
Went to China with Lori Matsukawa to cover Gary Locke when he was over there for his trip.
Yeah.
Which was, again, fascinating. We were in like 4 or 5 different cities all over China on the Great Wall. And then, of course, a million things here in the state.
We're seeing some of the pictures of you in Sky King.
And that was the other thing I really loved, which covered a lot of Rose Bowls. Did both Cougar Rose Bowls, a couple of Husky Rose Bowls.
Spent a lot of time with Glenn Farley.
Glenn and I did a lot of things, and that's why there's a lot of shots of us together. And we didn't take a lot of selfies back then. In fact, when we started, there weren't cell phones.
Yeah.
I covered the fireworks every year for a long time on New Year's. Always fun to go live.
Is there a story, I hate it when everyone asks, like, what's your favorite story? Because there's so many, but is there a story that sticks out to you that you remember?
No.
It's okay.
Well, and people have been asking me that, and I've been thinking about that a lot. And there are a bunch, but I'll start on one, and it'll just remind me of another and another and another. I worked a lot of general news.
Yeah.
And general news is fun because you work with everybody, different reporters, and you never know what the assignment is. And so it took us all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember working with Linda Brill. we went to the Shoalwater Reservation. The folks at the Shoalwater Reservation, the women were having trouble staying pregnant. I mean, they had like a 60% mortality rate on their,
Wow.
and we went down to talk to these folks to try to find out what was going on. And I just remember the tribal chairman taking us to the cemetery.
Oh.
And I felt like such, you know, you just feel you
like
don't
you're intruding.
Intruding.
But you're not. You're telling people.
But at the same time, it was such a powerful story. And what's fun is a lot of those stories. I'm not a good librarian. I haven't kept track of my work.
Yeah.
But I have been going through a lot of old tapes, and I found that story the other day. And what's fun is you look at it again now, thinking, oh, that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
We did a good job.
You did a good job.
Yeah, we did it. So, and there's just so many of those.
Well, Dave, I have to say, you have done an incredible job. It has been, I very rarely got to work with you, but it's been an honor to stand beside you at King. We are going to miss you so very much. Enjoy your retirement, my friend.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, what a gift it's been to have you here.